Okay, this is the editing and design. Now, today what I wanted us to do is like continuation from what I talked about last time, whereby I was talking about the page makeup. So I talked about whatever I talked about. Now I wanted to talk about this, what is called the dummy, the page dummy. Let me see where. Okay, yeah, the dummy sheet. This is what is called the dummy sheet. So the thing is, as I said, when you go through the document, you appreciate that you have got different sections at the newspaper organization or magazine organization. Now, when you talk about the newspaper, you as an editor who have got the stories from the reporters and now you have edited it before it is printed into the final copy. It's like you cannot be so sure, because sometimes you might need to make sure. For example, if you want the stories to appear in a certain way, you cannot just say it once. You need to start to have somewhere whereby you should plan it, or pre-plan your page. So yeah, welcome. Right, you're just find us where we are starting. I'm saying what we are studying. I wanted to just talk about it, just a continuation from last time. Now there's this called the dummy sheet. So I want to talk about the dummy sheet. So we say that prior to publication, newspapers are designed on a prototype called dummy sheet, right? So before publication, you don't just go and publish. You have to have somewhere where you have to plan. Right? So a dummy sheet is marked in inches according to and pickers. But now, usually the importance of this dummy sheet, it helps the editor to pre-plan before using the plan to build the final page, right? So it helps the editor to pre-plan before using the plan to build the final page. And sometimes, like in the architecture buildings, the plan. So usually it helps the editor to pre-plan, right? That's the way to do it, pre-plan. Like as you are going to your actual plan, you are having like somewhere whereby you can prepare the plan. So the way this dummy sheet, the way it is, it's like a paper. The way it is, the paper like this. So as I told you, I've said, you might say that you might have a page like a newspaper page. Give an example. Let me give an example like this one. You see? Have you seen this page? Yeah. Now you are the one who decides to say this story should have. And for the first, I think you can see the way we talked about it, because I explained with example. This layout you are seeing here, because we talked about last time, we talked about the horizontal and the vertical. You see? So this could be, let me see, because you have got this could we say this could be mixed, because This, what you are seeing here, you see? This story you are seeing, this side, it's a different one. This one. This is vertical. This one is horizontal. So as I said, the design in terms of the page content on the newspaper, maybe the magazine, they might decide to say, let's put horizontal, setup, or maybe vertical, right? So the way this story is to say, you have this main story, and it should occupy this space, a headline, and now you should have this sub and then picture. So this is the work of the editor. You design this, you say there should be a picture here and the story should be here. So now, how do you tell those people who are going to, or sometimes they just call designers, but they don't usually design. Like I'm saying the example with the, where I was like at times, we have got a group whereby they say they are designers. But what do? You have your stories, then you give them. But when you go, they don't design for you. You are the one who designs and you tell them, I want the story, maybe the picture to be here. So for you to come up with something like this, is where you need this, what is called damage. It's like, you are going to have maybe the paper like this. Now, it will represent the whole page. So you're going to say, okay, right here, you could write a box and put an X. It means where there's going to be a photograph. So here there should be a photograph. Here, maybe there should be headline. The other story should. So you plan it on here. Usually, you use a pencil. Usually, when on the damage sheet, because you might change. Because you might design, it's okay. And then after maybe designing, and you might say, no. I think the way, because what you do, you imagine the way the story is going to appear like. Sometimes the other stories, they will appear good with a major photograph, and then stories, as information. Some they will appear, maybe you need to have more information. So when you use a pencil, it means you might easily erase if you want to make some changes. So this is a paper whereby it's going to be given to an editor to plan for the way the layout is going to be on the page.
So it's just for planning.
For planning. It's not the damage sheet is not for like the final thing. You see, I think you can even say, I'm saying that if you don't have somewhere else to plan, it can be a problem, because if you are, it's more or less like you want to be practicing on the actual, maybe planning, on the actual copy where you're going to be placing the things. If you make a mistake, it might go through. But when you have somewhere else, whereby you just have to say, okay, and it's easy because when you want to tell those people who are going to be placing the stories, you're going to just show them this damage. Oh, this is the way I want it to be, and they will see it. So, as I'm saying, because it's for free planning, you might change. So, because of that, you use a pencil. Usually, they use a pencil for this. Let's see. And here say the dummy used to be a plan on which typeset pages are cut and pasted before imaging. But with pagination system, editors can now pre-plan on computer screens, right? And although, and this is just talking about now, because you have scenario whereby, the way I'm telling you, you have a paper with a pencil. It means it's easy for you to erase, isn't it? So with the computer nowadays, Microsoft Word is as if you are using a pencil. Because if you write something on a Microsoft page, if you want it to change, it's easy. You just go and fix it. Yeah. So I'm saying that's where it's coming from. It was the actual sheet. That's where the whole idea came from. But now with the coming in of desktop publishing, you find out that, as I'm saying, that even the printing, they just use a soft copy. Now, All times you used to just take the actual paper like this, then you plan it and then you go physical and give them. Nowadays, because of the computerization, you just be in your newsroom, you have a dummy sheet like in a soft copy on the computer, then you be changing things there. When you did do that you are done, you can just send them to the designing group that okay, this is the way it is. So normally, I know that it's a modern time, but it's the same as I talked about, like when you have assignments being sent to you in a soft copy and hard copy. There's a difference. Hard copy is easier because even the one who is doing it could be easily see that, okay, I made a mistake here, right? So, but still, when you go around, you find people, they'll still use physical paper. Right? Then they will be scribbling there, and they do. But what I noticed, like, I do believe it was the same damage sheet. They didn't tell us that it was damage, but what they did was like they design the editor. These are the paper, the way it's going to be. Before the actual outcome, they will know that okay, the photograph is going to be here. They will have a photocopy of a page like this, right? In black and white. It was more in A4 size like this. Now they will have a copy. They might just show that there's going to be a photograph without the actual photo. But now they will print it out and then they'll give them to the editors. So the editors will go through as if they are marking it to see, okay, I think here, maybe this one should be changed. So it's the same thing that they're like using the damage sheet, but now it's in a certain way whereby even in the computer world, but they have to print it out, then you go through, but it helps in that whereby you make sure that your page is okay. So like here, it talks about that on the damage sheet, some of the things that are done on the damage sheet by the editors. You say on the damage sheet, you try out things that's usually we talked about that you try out things more or less. It's not that you put all the fight. If you see like paper like this, it's not that just because you have indicated something that's a fine. You might change along the way. So because you're just trying out things, if it's a paper like this, as I said, you use a pencil, and then you might change afterwards. That's the reason. Now you have issues to do with the like space, because I said a page like this in designing, people doesn't know much about designing will think about and if you have got that mentality of being a reporter, saying, oh, we are trying to send information to the people, meaning the information is in a text. But what you need to know is a page like this, if it is looking good, it's not just the text. If you can see, there are a lot of more than a text. Color is part of it. Had it been it was black and white, it would have looked not that much attractive. Color is part of it. Space is part of it. Like just almost the way this text, this gap you leave out, or what I call like if sometimes the amount of space between a story and the next story. They say gutter space. So sometimes you would decide to say here is simple because we have got an image here. But had it been at the center, there was another story without images. It would have not look good to say to have this small space. So you could decide to say the spaces between this and this one should be how many inches. You could decide there. Right? So it's for what is called readability. People should be able to read it easily. Right. So because there's a picture, it's not a problem. You could just have a small space there. Or even the good thing about this, I think we're going to talk about it later on, about pages, because this time around we're just talking about damage sheet. But you're going to find out that each and every newspaper have got a fixed design of specific pages. For example, you can know that this is a front page story by just looking at the way the layout, the way the headlines are placed, where they, like this small teasers, then you're going to have. So this design, nobody can fool you that this is inside the story. Because you have been seeing times, most of the times, and you will know that when it's like this is a front page. Back page, like this, you also know that this is a back page. So there are some other elements that are constant. And what you need to do, you just take the information and add it. So, like for example, a front page like this one, usually, according to Times nowadays, they put 3 teasers here, usually. 1, 2, 3. And then they'll have usually a major story here, probably one small story, most of the times. Now, for you, it means you're not going to struggle much in terms of trying to say, how am I going to design the back page? Because as I'm telling you, as you are going to appreciate later on, most of the pages, have got some other elements that are fixed, and you don't need to change them. It's the same as the business pages, the same as other pages. Without those fixed elements, you might not know that this is belonging to this page. See? Right. So, what I'm trying to say is, when you're having your raise like this, I don't know if, I believe you're going to be here. I talked about the damage sheet. Okay, for you to just come, we're talking about what it's called the damage sheet there. You see one of the documents, you've got to find it there, the damage sheet. So it says like somewhere whereby before you have final publication of your page, like be here, an editor will have somewhere else where he plans where to put the picture, where to put this and that. So I said in the past they used to have just like a paper like this, whereby they use a pencil. So you'll be deciding, okay, photograph should be here. And on the photograph, they'll put a box with an X. So there's going to be a picture here, a caption is going to be here, a storage, and they'll decide it, because I talked about it, either you have a vertical layout or horizontal layout. So you might, the editor might decide, you say, okay, we're going to have this. So you do that. So because it's a pencil, it might change along the way and delete. And so sometimes, as I say, they might just use software on a computer. They'll go in the computer, have a damage sheet in there, and then do alterations, and they'll do that. But as you can see, it's something that it helps an editor to have a good plan, of the way things are. So what I was talking about, I was saying on the damage sheets, there are some other things that you work out. Like for example, here you talk about mark off the space for what is called the nameplate. Nameplate, or the heading of any section with a horizontal line across the page. So the thing is, usually heading this is the damage. If we here marks up something, it's a line, this horizontal line there. It's like it's indicated here, there should be a heading. Usually, a line that is horizontal, it will indicate that and if it's that's going to be what we call a nameplate. Nameplate will have that the name of the paper. So he indicates exactly that, okay, this should be here. And here talk about measure, let me see here, I don't want to go into the inches. But usually, what happens is he even go into actual measurements, because right here we're just representing maybe what it does, but they know, like this one, they will know that the whole paper is the inches. Now, when they are representing it on the paper, they will say, okay, we should have maybe at least 3 inches from here to here. So you indicate it to show how long the headline should be. And the other thing that that is just part of them. But that said that in other places you find you have a template. As I say, I do believe nowadays that's what they do. You might have a template like for a page. Let me say, when you say a template, let me just give you an example. I gave an example of papers like this. I say you will never see a front page of a paper like Daily Times looking different than this. Stories will be changing, but the outlook, it will be like this. So they have got somewhere they already know that you are going to have teasers here, maybe 3 of them, then there should be a main story here. So, and here they're going to be added here. Now, on the template, they might be here, they might be blank, there might be something here already for added. And there might be just boxes here to be filling up with something. So you know that, okay, you already have a name of this paper, of the paper up there, and you don't have to change it. It's already there. So you are going to have like a name that is fixed. This whole line is going to be fixed. The only place that's going to be nothing is going to be where you place the stories. And here inside here, there might be a blank space here, whereby you decide to say whether you are going to have a story. Well, this is a design on its own, whereby you have a story, then a picture inside. It's like when you later on know, like it's called like an arrow, but maybe they were trying to mix. But you will decide just inside. But down there is already something that there should be elements. So you might just have a template like this. When you go to other pages, they are also be the same, whereby you are going to have some other elements that are already there. So you'll be just dealing with some other things inside. Maybe things that, maybe pages that could completely change, could be maybe an example of most of the inside stories. Stories like on the inside pages, most of them. You might, I gave an inside pages, you're going to check later the newspapers like this one. You say you have, they might change anything. They will just know it's a national page, but they might change everything down because it's not something like fixed. So, but what you did, I said you check on that, and what else you also do on the dummy page is you denote the spot for art with the rectangle crossed with an X. I think I talked about it. You have this rectangle like this, then you put it like this, as I said. When you put something like this, it means there should be an art here. Either it's going to be a picture or a cartoon or any artwork. Right? So where you want it, your story is okay, there should be an artwork somewhere. So the story is going to be here, there should be artwork here of this story. Then you indicate with you put that rectangle box and an X inside. Right? So you also check on that. You check on the say here, talk about draw shallow boxes to depict the space for catlines. Right? So like you have this as a picture. Now, let me say you have a headline like this. Then you might indicate maybe a box like this. A box like that, you say, like let's say a catline. Right? You have a main head. Usually, main headlines don't have so many characters or text. Main headlines, or you can even see here, right? An example. Animals start on, like you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? But this is something. Right? You see, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, more than this. Right? So this is like a cut, right? That is just like explains more of the headline. Right? Then what you do, you indicate where you want it to be by just drawing a certain a box there. Right? You say, okay, there's going to be headline here with that straight line or horizontal line, and then you indicate that box again horizontal where there's going to be that card line. And then after that, you indicate that, okay, it's like that, the picture is going to be here. Usually, when you have a picture, a photograph, you have what is called a caption. Caption for the photograph, those words, they'll come down here. So usually when there's a photograph, you don't have to say that there should be a caption or there should be those words of the story. Any picture, a photograph, right? In a publication, a newspaper, you have something, words describing this photograph underneath. Right? So the only thing you are going to tell them is the content. Right? You're going to write what you want it to be. And the technique, what they do usually, like at Times, maybe Nation, either they will just write, like nowadays, they will write a surname, then they will explain something. But most of the time, if they select a dramatic picture, they will just describe that picture. They will describe that picture with one word. Like, for example, if it's sports, if maybe Mwai Kumwenda is jumping, they will just say maybe athletic. Then they will explain Mwai Kumwenda this and that. So that's what also you also talk about. You indicate where that is supposed to be. But what as I'm saying, sometimes you might, as you plan on your damage sheet, things might be changed at where the final stage, because with the computerization nowadays, there are many possibilities of making changes on maybe during the final stage, like for the photographs. Because sometimes you might have a large space occupied by photograph, then it takes a lot fitting. So you end up to resize the photograph. So, with the computerization, it's not as difficult to resize the photograph. So it might end up to have that picture resized at the end of the day, based on maybe some other elements. So I talked about already, which is also been talked about again, for say horizontal lines can be used in depicting where the heads are to run, right? So indicate the number of columns, the size. So the thing is, would be, as I said, based on the pattern. Let me just demonstrate like here. I said, if this is going to be a page, our page here. If it's going to be vertical layout, what it means, it's going to be like this, like this, like this, maybe like this. So if it's vertical, what it means here, a story, one story is going to be here. Kaka, the other story is going to be here. The other story. So you're having like 4 spaces for stories. So no wonder that we talked about when we were talking about vertical. We said it's easy for you to put maybe one of the advantage of this vertical layout is you might put like I said most stories. You're getting to put 1, 2, 3, 4. But when you have photographs, so imagine what it means. Any photograph, if it's a photograph for this part, it means the photograph should fit here. You see? So it might be not a large photograph, but because it's not for this story. Because when you take this photograph and jump it here, it will appear as if this photograph is for this story, which is going to be a problem. So you have to force yourself to be resizing the story. So somehow the look cannot be that nice, but you have a page with small photographs. So sometimes they might decide to say, okay, maybe we're going to put a large photograph, which is going to run across columns. But the only problem will be then you have to put what are called like borders. Then if the photograph is going to run into the hair. So for you to make sure that people should not confuse, because this will be confusing. I've seen it before. They have done it, so like I think Sunday Times, usually they put just a photograph. So Sunday Times did something. So what they do, you put a border. Like this is the story, the headline of this story is here. Now you put a thick border, like here, a solid border, to show that it's for this story. But the only problem when people look at it, sometimes you might just immediately look at the photograph and then sit down, thinking that is the same story. So what I saw on the Sunday Times, it was like a photograph. It ended like fitting the whole page like this. Now they put a border here, so there was a headline. This headline was not for this story. They put a headline here and they indicated that the story is inside. If you have noted, like the Sunday Times, they usually don't write stories on the actual content. They usually just put the photograph. But what they did, they were trying to do the same thing whereby to say they put a picture, the big picture. The headline of the bigger picture was in the same picture. So when you look at it, immediately you think like this headline is talking about this story. So that's where the problem is. You could confuse the people. No wonder you say, if you can think about the horizontal layout and the, vertical. Horizontal would be much more better. Because in horizontal, what you're going to do, you are going to, like this one, you would put a headline, you would just demarcate it, maybe half. There's going to be a picture here, story. There's going to be another picture here, story, like this one. This is an example. This one is, interesting. This one is horizontal, this one is horizontal something. You see, you have a picture here, the story is going this side. You have also this picture, it's like occupying all this, because these are the columns. This is 1, 2, like here we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like you have 6 columns. If you are going to use a vertical, what it means, like you see here, for horizontal, they have used the 1, we have put it, let me say we have put the 3 stories out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns almost there. But we are putting this is story, this is story, and this is story. If you use a vertical, you might have a story here, a story here, a story here, a story here, a story here. Something like 5 stories there. But the problem, as I'm saying, to have a picture like this, because this picture, it has gone through 3 columns. You will have a problem because that picture could be made for only this story. So how can you tell the one who is really clear that this is the picture up there is not for this story? It is a problem. So when you are talking about maybe the advantages of horizontal setup or layout and the vertical layout, you could think along those lines. There are advantages, there are disadvantages. The advantages would be you would place more stories. Disadvantages, you would have problems to, place photographs, because most of the photographs would be bigger photographs, and when you put them as small, they might not look good, and when you put them as large, they might run across other columns, thereby confusing the readers. So that's a problem. So what I'm saying, on the dimension, you're going to decide those whereby you indicate whether, as I'm saying, if you are going to write, if it's going to be horizontal, then you will say, okay, a photograph will run 3 columns, like this. So you indicate it with this. This is going to be story. Maybe the headline is could be here. Then is sub will be here. Then it will write. You even write where you want to do, maybe the other side, whether you want it to be another story there or it's the same story, right? So you do that. And as I told you, the decisions that are done here, you don't just make decisions because you have to make them. You sometimes, as I told you, sometimes you might have a very good picture, photographs. Good photographs are not static photographs. Those photographs are that as if you are, passport photographs. Good photographs in media are what are called action photographs. Like the way this picture here, whereby it seems like it's in action. You see, rather than just showing like a person like this one. So if you have a picture like a person like this one, to put it in maybe a very big picture, it will be boring. But if you have an action picture, so you might be forced to say, okay, let me have this picture should be a bigger picture, because action picture, they tell stories on their own. It means you are going to say something, but you don't have to say everything. I believe that you heard about a saying that say a picture is worth 1,000 words. You heard about it? Why do they say that? If you have a good picture, you don't have to explain things. You can just put a picture. The people who look at it and will have a story. I will look at it, I will have maybe 3, 4 stories. This person looks like he's drunk. The way they look, the way he's put, and you can talk about the attire, the way he's looking, maybe the way he's looking. You see, so that's how important whereby, as an editor, when you select pictures, you don't just select any picture. And sometimes I think you know that. Like, unfortunately, let me see, maybe I think a Thai nation, usually they are flexible sometimes, but I say, when I see times when they come to put pictures like maybe on the head of state, they don't usually put those action words because stories they are not that, I mean, they don't hit hard, but the nation. So like sports is easy. I think you can see sports, you see pictures that have been placed, actual pictures, people, and you see here, So you have a lot of things to decide. Right. So you think about that. What else do you think about? Do you talk about? I mean, do you do on the damage sheet? You indicate stories by identifying them with a slide where they are to begin. Okay. So we talked about the already placement of the stories. So you even indicate where the story is supposed to begin. As I said here, you have forums. So you decide to say, okay, the story you want it, you know how many stories. If you have the 3 stories, usually each and every page you have a main story, which is called a lead story. Right? On each page, you have what is called a lead story. The lead story is that main story of the page. Right? Like this, that is a very large point. Eh? This is a lead story. Now you're going to decide to say this lead story should start here. No? Okay, what else? So it's saying you indicate stories by identifying them with the slide where they are going to begin, measure out the space, and use the flow arrows or lines to indicate where open is to appear. Right. So there's a lot of measurements we done here. I was trying to talk about the then instances whereby I talked about if you have the page, the picture or an art, sometimes you can have a page without a photograph, without an art. So here, when pages are without art, the layout pattern is simply running page over stories. If you can have a page like this, there are no photographs. Right? To make it look good, what you do, you have a pattern whereby headlines will be going across the stories. You have a headline that you write from here to here, another headline that you run here to here, for them to illustrate the pattern. So you indicate with the arrows, basically because there's no art, there's no image of any photograph, so you can do that. Let's see here. What is it we have? Like what happened in the race. There's this gentleman called Challenger, I mean, there are two of them, two authors, Challenger and McAdams. Themselves, they offer the 4 reliable design skills. They say how we are designing, we might have 4 skills according to them, which are better. Adams, Tower, suggested this one is really hard. What is all me? Right? And talked about side style. We talk about this one is okay. Yeah, so these guys, they just suggested for them to say how well can you design your content on the page. Now they came up with these 4, for them, they are calling it 4 reliable design skills. So there's one is called to start the best according to them, which is they talk about let's see here. They talk about that elements are placed vertically in this order. They start with the elements are going to be placed vertically, starting with photo, then let's see here, tagline, and headline, and text. Right? So for them, they decided that okay, you might decide to have a pattern whereby you just place elements in a vertical pattern, but you just have to. What you're going to do, you start with. I want to see if we're going to have something on that one. What they're talking about there, similar to that one. You start with the photograph. Yeah. You start with the photograph, tagline, photograph, tagline, headline, the text. Right? I think it's similar to this one. It's not exactly, but it's almost. What he was saying is similar to this you are saying here. Right? This one. whereby you are starting with the headline, the picture, then you have in this, unfortunately, it's just a caption, but you might have a headline here, the headline in the text, like this. Well, one of those, I think I'm saying that it's similar a little bit to this one, whereby you have a picture here, then you have the headline, and you have the text down. So, one part is they are talking about this is the metric. It's not okay. One design where you decide to do is this, whereby you tell the headline, photograph downwards. Or you might decide to have what is called side by side. It's simple, side by side means pictures and scholars are going to be side by side. Like I'll give an example, what do you have? But in the meantime, let me just say what they say on the side by side. You want to say this one is the having this, you're having this, and you're having over there where there is text, then you do something like this, have text there. And this one you are having you say the story is laid side by side. The photo and the headline is placed over the headline. The headline is placed over the photo, and the story over the. Okay, I think they try to be confused with it, but let me just see the example. I don't want it to be confused. But the thing is, it will be like, let me see an example. I don't want to go to this. Yeah, this could be, this is more or less like this one. Yeah? Similar to this one, yeah? Whereby you have the picture, you have the headline, you have the story, like side by side. Yeah? Then you can have these two, it's easy because they are telling you already. The arrow wrap, the U wrap. Right? That U-R-A-P. The wrap is like embracing. Everybody hug, the hug you do it, but after the hug, yeah? The hug is rubbing. It's like if there is something here, you are rubbing. So when you say arrow wrap, it's like usually it's in relation with the photographs. You have a photograph, then you might have text that is covering the photograph, maybe two sides on the arrow. It will be left side or down side, then you have it's going to form like an arrow like this. An example would be, we should have an example somewhere of the arrow. Yeah, this is the arrow, this one. You see? But you like it's making the arrow. You have a photograph of it. Let me just say what they're saying. Say, okay. Whatever the case, it's there's a words that are missing there. But the error you have like this. The way I was talking about this, we're going to have. Like, this is our photograph. The text should be something. So, it will be text will run here, and then you have the photo. With the, you didn't have the head here, whatever together. But the photo will be. But if you think about the headline in the photo, they will form like an arrow. They will not. So I think you can have an idea with the U. Because if you have photograph, text, they'll form a U. So URA is whereby text will cover that image, but they will form like a U. While this one is going to form like A. For example, I got a story like a story like this. Right? Because you're going to have, you're having like, or maybe let me have a better one. But the text is going to, an example would be a photograph like this, a story like this, whereby you see a photo, then the text is, you are having like you. And let's see what did they say here. The text wraps around both sides of the photo. The flow of the wrap should be under the photo for the same reasons that we talked about. However, there is a compulsory jump from the last column under the photo to the top to the next column, right? But U wrap is usually possible with long stories. So you're going to have, as I say, it's exactly, the U wrap is exactly like what I was talking about, like this. This is story over here. You have your headline, and you see how many columns the article has covered. Usually say this U wrap, it is fitting when you have that story, that is a very long story, whereby the content is too big. So you have to go some other stories. You just have from here the V to 8, like in this one. It's just from here to here. It's done. So you cannot have a U wrap using this one. It will not make sense. But because here there was a lot of information that it could not fit just maybe 2 columns. Right? So usually you have this pattern. So like for them they suggested this, but it makes sense because if you, as I'm saying as an editor, you don't just decide on the pattern for nothing. You decide based on the content of the story. For example, as I'm saying, you have got so many things to write about. How do you present it? Then you know that I think if you have got so many things, you put in a photo, then you have to make sense. You see? Then you design it like this. A certain story, like you see, you have this one, it's very short, it's more a short story. This one, sometimes they call it a caption story, whereby you just have images. There's no like actual story separately. It's like images and it's caption. So this one will be called like caption story. Right? So it's another maybe way of having, usually it's just short, and usually most of these caption stories, you don't talk much. The images themselves, they talk. So it's another thing. But in terms of the design patterns, I think these, according to what they were talking about, these the people, they make sense for, because as I tell you, when you are going to be an editor, then to be involved in this, you have to make decisions to say, okay, how are we going to present this story? So if you know it fits like this, you know, okay, with this story, I think it will fit because this story has got an image. Then maybe you have got 3 stories or 4 stories. So if we present it like this, it will work or not. Let me see. Because I can give you an example. What to do with another example in the number of stories. I think what I've been noticing is that normally, these newspapers, they don't usually use one layout pattern. Because I was trying to see if they use where they have used one pattern. But you see they mix it. You have almost every page, like this one, the horizontal, you have this one vertical. Horizontal vertical. Almost each and every page you are having like maybe 2 or 3 horizontal stories, then a vertical one, right? Usually, as I told you that the vertical they will just help you to have enough space. I don't know. I wouldn't see kind of another example, but I think that's what I'm finding. What else? Okay, so that's the time that I need to check the time. Okay, about the sheet we are talking about, the what? The dummy what? The dummy sheet. Yeah, and with these patterns, those are that. But the other part I wanted to talk about was about design. So the way I'm seeing the design would be a topic on its own. That we can talk about. These days, it cannot make sense. But at that time, when you get the newspapers like this, just try to appreciate to see how they are presenting these stories. Right? Because sometimes for normal readers, we don't think much about it. We just read stories. But we forgot that you might in one time be at the position to decide how these stories are going to be presented. So if you don't know how the reasons how to present the story, you have a problem. But at least you should have don't know that okay. I think if you present it like this, they are like sometimes you might have like scenario like maybe based on the story, like this one, which is a very unique presentation. And you might start on this. Now you're having this photograph and 2 other photographs on the same story, which is not common. But according to the story, you have to do that. But you see the other photographs are small, you have the other one big. If you see the actual story that is a speed of just small 2 paragraphs, then in both you can consider. I want to see how. Yeah, it has got a number of paragraphs there, right? But usually, as you see nowadays, the design, most of the time, the design on the front page, where they wanted to have a design that will sell a newspaper. So they don't want to put too much text on the front page, like a actual story. They would like to either to put a headline that is attractive, a bigger headline, or a picture that is attractive, and you have few text. Most of the texts are going to be inside the newspaper. You see, it's a deliberate thing. Because what they are trying to do is, they want you to buy the paper. If they have a design whereby they put all the information here, you might not even buy the paper. You see? And so, and you can appreciate, you are going to usually buy a paper, maybe with the headline. Headline is similar, it will be a good story. Or you will buy because of these images you are seeing. Oh no, these images, yeah, so it's all to do with the design you are talking about here and the layout. And as I tell you, you can ask yourself, why don't you have black and white pictures nowadays on our papers? Why? We used to be having to have black and white pictures long time ago. But nowadays, no newspaper will put black and white picture. Why? There's a reason. Because the color pictures are attractive. Right? If you can put black, imagine all these black and white. Sometimes you can not even get interested to read it. You know, black and white images. Eh? But the color picture will give, what people say, will bring color. Will like adding color to the story. The story might not be that good, but in the images, what's the color picture, and you say, and you know, sometimes, you know, these newspapers, which we read in town, they end up in the villages. Maybe I'm not in that. You go in villages, you find out that the newspapers, all the papers, you find them in the markets. Eh? Sometimes they use them to wrap to wrap fish. But you find out that while they're using to wrap fish, you discover somebody who get in the paper like this. Maybe a person who doesn't know to read. But why this person can't read? Why is he having a paper? What is he doing? You'll be just staring at photographs. Looking at photograph, it means there's an attraction with images, right? So that's where you know that, okay, the whole aim when you do like designers who design for magazine, who design for newspaper, you are aiming for designing something to place it where you want to place it. It's not a matter of just communicating only. Main aim is, number one thing is to attract the attention of the readers who you are targeting. So what it means, it should be attractive enough either by the layout pattern, because that's what it's supposed to be, or by what we are going to know later, what is called balance. Any graphic design should have a balance, should be balanced. Like here, I gave you an example. You might wonder why these two pictures were placed there. These pictures were placed there could be because of balance, which we're going to talk about later. Why? You have got an image here on the left side, you have got another image here. So if you have got two images this side, here there's nothing. Sometimes it will be in balance. What are we talking about? Somebody could read it because of the picture, could take a newspaper and start reading where there's a photograph. So what it means, people could start reading things here, not at that side because there are no photographs. So what do? You say, okay, because people will start reading here, let me balance the image. Let me put another photograph on this side. So it's a decision when if you know what to do with the balance. That's what they do, designers. They'll say they are deliberately putting something this one side to not to like make sure the attention should not be driven towards one side. But I think we are going to understand it later when you read on just read issues to do with the balance and the like. You might not understand it now because these are technical terms, but it's the same thing as maybe you are taking a lift weight. If you're going to have a lift weight that is too much heavy on one side and much more heavy, it's not balanced. Somehow people will struggle in lifting. You make sure that if it's not balancing this side, you take the pipe, you add this side to make sure that it's, you will lift all the sides. So it's similar to that one. Right, so, yeah, I mean, don't worry much about this. This is when you talk about designing, we deal with technical issues. That's why I try to bring this. Normally, you're supposed to also, as I asked you, that do you have Adobe InDesign or even Photoshop? You will be trying to see some of these things. But in the meantime, let's go through what we have. In terms of the design, as I said, that when you have time, try to, on the internet, try to search newspapers from other countries, front pages, like Kenya, even Tanzania. Because I noted that I think in Malawi, you have good designs. Because I noted that I think Times and Nation, they borrow from the UK, and especially UK. So UK and USA, they are good designers when it comes to front pages. They don't usually put a lot of text. They like to put images that are speaking and the headlines that are attractive. But what I noted, like I was checking like newspapers from I think Kenya and other countries, there are too much text on the front page. Too much, as if it's a business page. You see the front page like this, a lot of text, and I was saying, no. Even if you want to read, you will be discouraged. Maybe they don't think much about design, because the trick is, make it a front page that is going to be easier for somebody to read, to see, and then if you want to read more, you should buy a paper and see something inside. But you placing a lot of people when you have a plant, it's too much sometimes. But when you search the example, the father, I think in Africa, you're going to see what I'm talking about. you are going to appreciate. But when you see UK papers and United States papers, they are the best. Because in USA, you can even just find like headline without the story, just headlines with images, front page, like the way the Sunday Times they do Sunday Times. Right. So something like that. Right. So I'm not so sure if you have understood anything there, because this is a little technical. But let me hope you have understood one or two. Maybe you might not get them. Right? But the easiest thing, as I'm saying, for you to try to grasp it, when you are home, don't just, keep your notes, whatever, and attend with it. Go through them, just understand one or two. It will be simple. But if you say, no, I will get it in class, somehow it will be tough. Right, so today, let's pause it there and call it a day. And we'll see we have another class tomorrow, not this one. We have our final class, That's not media and society tomorrow. I do believe that you know where we were. We're just going through a little bit of what we were doing. I don't know what we were doing last time, but we're going to see. Right, so